Hi, I'm here today with Diane Chiappa, Senior Vice President at Bay State Savings Bank. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for
Wanted to
asking.
talk about you are such a, and the bank is such a prominent citizen of Central Mass. And we wanted to talk about two things, how the bank has been dealing with the pandemic, and then all the community work that you do in the region.
Sure.
So please tell us a little bit about how the bank has been dealing with the pandemic, what has changed in terms of how you service your customers, and how customers are feeling more comfortable being serviced now.
Well, I think like everyone else, Matt, and again, thank you for asking me to be on. Um, I think we really struggled at the beginning with how to keep our customers safe and how to keep our employees safe because not a lot was known about the pandemic. I mean, I just remember washing my shoes when I came home from work, washing my hands 700 times a day. Nobody really understood what was happening. So we closed our lobbies back in March and immediately tried to get as many people working remotely as humanly possible. Now, that's fine for a loan officer or even some other backroom functions, but tellers obviously can't work remotely. So we split our staff in half and we had half the people working 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And I would tell you one of the things that I'm most proud of, and we were seeing customers through the drive up, online banking and by appointment only, was the fact that the bank continued to pay people through this whole thing. So even if we had people at home for 2 weeks who really couldn't work because of the nature of their job, they continued to get paid, which, kudos to our president, Peter Alden, and our board of directors who really, really were committed to taking care of our employees, recognizing that banking is an essential service. And, I have to put a plug in, often forgotten. And I understand how dangerous it is for grocery store workers and other retail workers, but bankers also are right there on the front lines and didn't really have the option to close. Our customers needed to know that, the bank was open, that their money was safe. We have insurance through the FDIC and the Depositors Insurance Fund that insures every dollar that you put in this bank. So when the pandemic first hit, people were nervous, the bank's going to close. Am I going to lose my money? Should I go take all my money out? So in addition to trying to figure out a new way to operate, right, and to keep our employees safe and to keep our customers safe, we also had to learn a new way to assure them that their money was safe on top of it. And we managed to do that. So we had the lobbies closed probably through July. And then reopened our lobbies again one at a time. We hired a company to come in and kind of help us navigate through how to do that safely. So we did traffic patterns in and out of the branches. We put up splash guards at the teller lines. Our tellers all were wearing masks, obviously, hand sanitizing, making sure the HVAC system in each of our facilities was appropriate in doing what it was supposed to be doing. And we made sure that most of all, both our customers and our employees felt safe doing their banking. And I think, since July, we've been open. We just closed down again a little bit. So our branches are open from 8:30 till 2, and they're closed from 2 to 5, although open for drive-through and appointment. But we are opening again fully on Monday.
The part of what you just said that surprised me the most was that people were concerned that the bank was no longer a safe place to keep their money.
Right.
That's interesting. I never would have
Right.
thought of that,
Well,
but that's
well, I think
fascinating.
people didn't know. So, they weren't sure. What if the bank closes? Can I get my money? And what if
Sure, that I can understand if the branch isn't open, but
right.
it's the depression kind of feeling that,
Exactly.
oh gosh, everything's going to fall apart.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Exactly. And we always sort of use our insurance again, like I said, every shameless plug for Bay State, every dollar that you deposit here is insured. But we had to sort of re-educate people on that again, and also re-educate them on
Hmm.
different ways to do their banking. So we have a lot of customers. Bay State has been in the community since 1895. I have not been here since 1895, before you say anything, but since 1895. And we have a lot of customers who have the old time passbooks, who like to come into our branches. They're very, how would I say, like neighborhood branches, where the
Sure,
tellers and
sure.
the branch manager and the assistant manager know the customers. The customers will come in for their coffee. They'll sit down and they'll have a chat with the branch manager, and they'll show them pictures of their grandchildren. Um, and so it's a very sort of neighborly feel, and kind of a more old fashioned feel for some people. And those were the people that were the most concerned, because to all of a sudden have to do all their banking online, or only to be able to go to the drive up. Maybe they'd never been to a drive up before. I don't know. Or they'd never been online before. It was a whole re education process, I think. And I think for the most part now, people see how easy it is to do their banking that way. They're much happier. I mean, I would personally say that if I didn't work in a bank, I can't tell you the last time I went into a bank to do my banking.
Uh, See, I'm one of those people. I want to go into the bank,
Yep.
talk about the gardening that we're doing, and
Yep.
that means a lot to me. I'm not an online banking person, so that's been a struggle. But I always figured, because I knew about the FDIC, and sure, say, well, the money's safe. It's going to be there.
Right.
I don't see the whole banking system collapsing.
Right.
So I wasn't worried about that. It was having access to actually take out, because I still pay in cash checks so
Yeah.
I know, cash.
I
Who
know.
so for people like me, this has been a struggle that way,
Well, and you talk
I'm not
about
good at
cash.
waiting.
You talk about cash. Remember back in April or May, there was the coin shortage, because people weren't
Yes,
using cash, and all the casinos were closed and all of the convenience stores were closed. And so there just wasn't coins, and they weren't really a shortage, but they weren't in circulation. So people couldn't get a hold of them. And I think the hardest part about the pandemic, I mean, obviously, being concerned about your health and being concerned about the people you love and being concerned about your customers and your coworkers aside, has been just re-educating people, because every time people hear something, they get scared, and it's something none of us have ever been through before. So all of a sudden, oh my goodness, there's a coin shortage. Wait a minute, are we running out of money? Your mind just races. And
sure.
99% of the time, it's just because you don't know. And we've been in such an
Yeah,
unknown situation since for a year now, that I think that
yeah,
it's been hard for people to adjust, because their lives have changed so drastically.
that's true. That's true. So that your bank branches are getting more open now, and a little bit closer to what the norm was before, although I don't know that we'll ever go back to normal, but something that resembles
Florida
what
normal.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's switch gears a little bit. You are such prominent citizens, if you will, and neighbors in the region. You support a lot of organizations, and even before the pandemic, you were doing that, and you've refocused a little bit during the pandemic. And I really appreciate what the bank does. Tell us a little bit about what that process has been like. I used to handle corporate contributions for Zaire Corp, which you're too young to remember Zaire Corp,
I
I'm sure.
remember
But
Zares.
Zaire and TJ Maxx and Here
TJ
Miss
Maxx.
and BJ's were all one company. Yeah, we were
Yep.
all one company.
Yep.
And it was the best job I ever had, was being able to help people in that position. But sometimes you have to refocus what you're doing. I get a sense that's probably what you did in the past year.
Oh, 100%. And I would agree with you, Matt. Um the part of my job that I love the most is exactly that, is the fact that the bank is so committed to this community, and so dedicated to helping everyone rise. Because we do really believe that if the community is doing well, then we all benefit from that. So we had to kind of refocus our efforts also. So we have a couple ways which we give back to the community. Number one is our charitable foundation. We meet twice a year. This is a foundation through which people have to actually submit grant requests. We have a board, we review the requests, and then we give out grants. We had to cancel our April meeting, obviously, because we weren't meeting in person. We did manage to meet in October and gave out over $15,000 in grants, which was nice. And most of those were to organizations who were trying to figure out how to do it differently. You know, maybe you can't have everybody in the room this right now, but maybe we can do things a little bit differently and still sort of create that community. So that was helpful. We made major contributions to the Worcester Together Fund through the United Way and through the Greater Worcester Community Foundation. They've done a lot of great work in the community, and we're able to provide meals, because one of the things that we found that was really, I don't know if it was surprising, it was kind of surprising to me that a big impact of the pandemic was food insecurity, especially here in Worcester. And there were a lot of people that couldn't get food. So we made significant contributions to that fund, and let the Greater Worcester Community Foundation and the United Way do what they do best and make sure those funds got to where they were most needed. We also made a $10,000 contribution in December through the United Way to 5 organizations suggested by my dear friend, Tim Garvin, who were most in need of trying to feed people during the holidays, which was important to us as well. And we also provided almost $10,000 in high school scholarships, as we usually do. But it's interesting because I think you kind of forgot that the kids were still going to school and they were still graduating. It was a little bit different, but they still, you know, were still going on to college and still needed to do that. So we sponsored the 40 Under 40 event through the Worcester Business Journal. We did that virtually this year. Excuse me, I have allergies, so I feel like every time I have to cough, I have to say allergies. Through the Worcester Business Journal, so that was a virtual event. We actually sent people out this year, as we always do, through the United Way Day of Caring, safely with masks, social distancing, and they worked out in the community. So even though it was a little bit different, I don't think our mission was any different. Our mission was the same. We still wanted to make sure we could continue to give back to the community and support those organizations that were really doing the tough work, especially in this environment. We're currently running a promotion with Peppercorns and WXLO, and we are providing lunches to first responders, which is really nice too, because it helps us thank them for all the work that they've been doing through this whole thing. I could talk forever about the bank's involvement in the community. So,
well, because you are so involved, you know, really, as you may or may not know, I'm involved with St. Paul's Elder Outreach. I was the director, and both the bank and Worcester Together provided funding to St. Paul's because of the food insecurity. People don't have, I don't think, any real conception of how many people rely on the food pantries and other organizations like St. Paul's Elder Outreach for food.
I would agree.
For their food.
Yep.
And if you're elderly and you're afraid to leave your house because you have a health condition or you have nobody to go, and that's the other part that's sad. So many people live in isolation even before the pandemic, because this was happening before. Now, then the numbers just shot up because people had nobody to please go run to the store and pick up groceries for me.
One of the things that we've always done is supported the Mustard Seed over on Piedmont Street. And 4 times a year, we buy dinner for them, and we actually serve. Our employees serve dinner, which I think is really important, because to your point, Matt, we are so privileged. I mean, you know, it boggles your mind how some people just don't have food and they struggle for all the reasons that you say. So I think it's so important not only to support these organizations, but to just get out there and help and to serve and to see where your money's actually going. And to me, that's sort of the most inspiring part. and the hardest part, because we have not been able to do that. That's been really difficult. I'm also on the board of
Yes,
the Quinsigamon Community College Foundation, and they have a food pantry as well. And it's amazing the number of kids that just don't have food.
it's frightening.
It
It's
is
frightening,
frightening.
right? You know, we,
Yep.
we, we think about the United States being one kind of country and it's like, oh, there's a whole other half.
Through this whole thing, all I can think of is how incredibly privileged we are. Incredibly and lucky. And it's nice to be able to
Yes,
give some
yeah.
of that back.
Well, you and the bank certainly do that, and appreciate your coming with us to tell us a little bit about that and how the bank is starting to readjust and be able to serve people in a different sort of way. So
Yeah.
thank you
And
very much for coming and talking with us today.
oh, it's my pleasure. I love my job. I love this organization. The people that work here really do care. Like I said, we will be fully opened as of Monday. However, some people still aren't comfortable coming in. Some people don't
That's
like
true.
leaving their house. To your point, you can still do your banking exactly how you want to do it. You can come in if you want. You can do it online. You can do it through the drive-through. You can give your branch manager a call.
Well, that's great. And I'm glad you reemphasized the point that the money's not disappearing.
Nope. Our branches are cleaned regularly. They're cleaned every day. All of our employees wear masks. We practice social distancing. If you're uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form, we can find a different way for you to do your banking. So you just need to let us know, because we're here, like I said.
Great to know. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And we'll be right back. I'm here today with Dr. Alyssa Lamoureux, skin dermatology in Shrewsbury. And we're going to talk about why people should not stop going to their doctors, including dermatologists, amongst other things. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Matt.
Let's get right into that topic. Have people been reluctant to get care? And how have you been able to overcome that through the course of the last year, the pandemic?
Yes, understandably, people have been reluctant to get care. While for a couple months when the pandemic began, practices did mostly shut down for that period of time. So there was about 2 months where we weren't able to physically be in the office and see patients. So some routine screenings were put on hold. So there was a little lag time there. And when we got back into the office, we started calling patients to try to get them back on the schedule or getting prepared for that. And some patients were definitely reluctant to either come out and come into the office, or were fearful of the safety protocols that may be in place. Luckily, during the time when offices were closed, there was a big shift towards being able to offer telehealth to patients. So we were able to stay in contact with many of our patients during that time. And if there was something that was deemed to be an emergency, I was able to come in and take care of emergent problems. But come May, when we came back into the office, there was, again, this reluctance. Patients wanted to know that safety protocols were in place, that you were taking the best precautions to make your facility clean, and how the interaction was going to be laid out. So as we got back to the office, we had to come up with protocols and new procedures to adjust to the new norm. So that took some thought, but we were able to implement some good safety protocols from the start. And we received lots of feedback from patients that they felt very safe coming into our facility. So I feel like as long as you took the time, put the thought in, and were able to show people that you were putting their safety first above all else, that they did start becoming more and more comfortable to get their necessary screenings back on track.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Skin screenings and skin scans, the importance of them, and why you can't put them off forever, or you shouldn't put them off forever.
Yes, definitely. So in terms of skin cancer being the most prevalent skin cancer in the United States, they say about 1 in 5 people by the age of 70 will develop a skin cancer. Skin cancer risk increases due to a multitude of factors. It could be many blistering sunburns from when you were a child. It could be genetic heritage, light skin, fair eyes, some other genetic conditions that could set you up to have skin cancer, family history. So skin screenings are an important part of many people's annual or biannual routine. And then if they do actually have a history, we're seeing them in some preset intervals that maybe are more frequent than once or twice a year. So skin screenings don't, things can pop up on the skin, and sometimes the big things that come up and come to the surface and that come to the eye of, say, the patient are, obviously things that we should pay attention to, but sometimes things are subtly changing, or spots are very small and to the naked eye don't seem to be much. So that's why skin screenings continue to be very important. We see the highest risk of skin cancer in men over the age of 50. So I try to educate my patients a lot on continuing with their skin screenings, continuing to practice safe sun behaviors when they are outside, and then being aware of what is actually on their body and what spots are there, so that they can take a mental inventory, be it every 30 days, and say, okay, that spot was there, that looks the same, or this spot is new, or this seems to be changing, so that they can help and partner with me to help take care of them.
Skin cancers are serious by themselves. Do they, if you don't address them, can they lead to other kinds of cancers? Do they spread? Would a skin cancer spread?
So certain skin cancers are able to spread throughout the body or metastasize. We use that term. Some are more locally invasive, I tell patients. So some have a lower risk to spread throughout the body and cause problems elsewhere, but they certainly can destroy the tissue they are within, be it the skin, the muscles, or even down to the bone below. So certainly taking care of things sooner rather than later is important. Skin cancers don't typically evolve into other types of cancers, but certainly, again, some types of skin cancers can be bad actors and certainly can cause problems other places, and there can be mortality associated with that.
And what other kinds of skin issues do you help people with?
So in addition to doing full body skin exams, where I look at patient over head to toe and look at the skin lesions that they may have, which include their moles and raised spots and flat spots and brown spots and red spots. I also take care of rashes. So patients will often present with poison ivy or eczema or psoriasis or other rashes that maybe are caused by medications or things they've come in contact with. So we see a wide array of patients, be it from infants to the elderly, for rashes. We also see a lot of patients for acne, and then many other conditions such as increased sweating, hair loss. So there's a multitude of conditions, nail problems, that we also address as dermatologists.
Staying out of the sun or limiting your exposure to the sun is important, which right now may not seem like a big deal, but soon, hopefully soon.
Definitely. I always try to impress upon my patients good behavior. Good behavior starts young. I try to impress that upon my young patients, that they really have the opportunity to protect their skin from an early age. So do what you can to protect your skin, be it wearing SPF containing moisturizer on your head and your neck and maybe your hands during the year, things that are getting exposed to the elements on a daily basis. I say even, walking out to the mailbox, taking your dog for a walk, taking a long drive in the car, sitting too close to a window. The sun does penetrate through varied surfaces. And then when you are outside, making sure you're stepping it up to sunscreen, you're applying it to about 15 to 20 minutes before you go outside, making sure you put enough of the sunscreen on, and then also putting other sun protective things on your skin, such as hats and sunglasses. I really am an advocate of sun protective clothing. It's really great for the young children. I have 2 children myself, and I started them from infants, feeling like when they go outside or they go into a swimming pool that they wear a long sleeve shirt. It's just something that they don't think that you go in a small bathing suit or a little, a pair of shorts with a shirt off if you're a boy. So, ingraining, again, good behaviors when they're young is important, but they're, any time is the right time to start taking care of your skin and being diligent about protecting it from the sun.
Offer some other kinds of services at Skin Dermatology as well. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so we try to be a full service skincare practice. So we like to take care of you from a medical side. I offer surgical procedures as well. And then we try to also provide you with the latest cutting edge aesthetic and cosmetic services. So in addition to my medical offerings, I also offer injectable therapies. Patients will often be interested in those for fine lines and wrinkles, or where they've lost volume, say on their face. We offer non-invasive body contouring, where that can help get rid of some stubborn fat in varied areas on the body. We offer treatments to lessen the appearance of cellulite, procedures to tighten the skin, to improve on texture, to improve on fine lines and wrinkles, to help get rid of scattered broken blood vessels or brown spots. And then we have a multitude of lasers that can help assist us in those type of spheres. We offer tattoo removal. Then we also have an array of aesthetic services that my esthetician provides, including facials and chemical peels, oxygenated facials, and also some radio frequency laser treatments. And these are all goals to rejuvenate the skin, increase the blood flow, work on specific problems or concerns. So again, we try to be a full service suite of skincare offerings here at Skin Dermatology.
Okay. And what kind of surgeries do you do?
Most of the surgeries that I do are for skin cancers. So I remove melanoma, basal cell, squamous cell skin cancers here in the office. I also remove cysts or lipomas or growths underneath the surface of the skin that might either be of concern or might be more of a nuisance. So I do surgical removals of both malignant and benign lesions.
Okay. So as we wrap up here, the message too is to not put off skin scans and other procedures. And if you have a problem, it's okay to go. It's safe to go because you've put in so many different kinds of processes to make your office safe.
Definitely. And if there's ever a question or a concern, just ask the office that you're calling, that you're wanting to make an appointment with. What are your safety measures that you've put in place? What can I expect when I come in for my visit? Because they certainly should, at this point, have a protocol in place and be able to explain to you what you can expect. And a lot of our protocols start before you even get to our office. We send you a pre-screening questionnaire, making sure that you feel well the day you're coming in. When you get here, we make sure you sanitize your hands, we check your temperature, and we quickly escort you back to the exam room so that we're not delaying your time with, sitting and waiting in a waiting room or making you be here any longer than you need to. So we've definitely streamlined our process. And then, of course, our staff is wearing the appropriate PPE at all times and paying very close attention to the sanitizing measures that are in place. So again, if there's any fear or concern, ask the question. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised when you get to the office where you have your appointment.
Great. That's important. Don't keep putting it off.
Exactly. Don't put it off is right. We are not at the end of the line yet. There's really no end in sight. Even, with vaccinations being available, it's not going to change the way that we behave or are told to behave or interact. So please take care of yourself, get back on track with the screenings and the recommendations that doctors have made in terms of your healthcare, and don't put it off. And if there is something concerning, make sure you pay attention to it and feel confident that we are taking your safety as our top concern.
Great. Well, thank you very much for sharing all that valuable information. And I'm glad that to hear you talk about why people shouldn't put off healthcare, because they're afraid of things that really you can't fix in the world anyway. You've got protocols and processes there, and other doctors do too. So I think that's a big lesson for people.
Definitely agreed.
Well, thank you very much. It was good seeing you, and appreciate your spending a few minutes with us today.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it as well.